Okay, Shalawam. I want to face the east and give all praise, honor, and glory to my power. Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the elders, apostles, and bishops of Great Millstone who still teach and rule well. Peace and salutations to the scattered elect, scattered amongst the four corners of the earth, the 144,000 as well as the innumerable multitude. And some of the elect of the innumerable multitude and of the 144,000 will not come looking like the traditional so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American, like the people here on this sign. Some of the elect will not come looking like them, as we were scattered amongst all the 17 heathen nations pursuant to Jeremiah chapter 12 verses 9, where the Most High's heritage is likened unto a speckled bird. So we are who our father is. So if a Jake man got up with a so-called white woman and had a light-skinned child, that child, even though his mom is white, he or she's mom is white, that child is an Israelite, all right? A good example is like Blake Griffin, all right? His pops was Haitian, his mom was like Irish or something like that. And Blake Griffin and his brother came out light-skinned, and Blake Griffin had children with another so-called white-looking woman, and they're even lighter, all right? But those are Israelites. They got blonde hair, blue eyes, and everything, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and get right on into it. In terms of the mark of the beast and how the heathen nations, beginning with Esau, Edom, is confederate against us, the children of the Most High. The name of the Heavenly Father, his name is Yahweh. All right, Yah meaning he, Yahweh means to exist or to be. His son's name is Yahweh Shai. Yah meaning he, Yahweh Shai means to deliver. All right, so both of their names are name predictions. All right, the Most High, Yahweh, he is, all right? He is everything. He is the highest. That's why he's called the Most High. All right, he's the Most High intelligence. His son Yahweh Shai is the deliverer. Yah meaning he, Yahweh Shai means deliverer, and he only delivered the children of Israel, not all the nations. All right. But this is Psalms the 83rd chapter, in reference of today they're trying to the heathen nations are trying to establish the NWO. Pursuant to Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? That's the self-proclaimed so-called white man, beginning with those top elite banking families like the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, etc. As well as the self-proclaimed so-called white men run this world, but they are in league with the other 16 heathen nations and the rich families of those 16 heathen nations. I did a video last week covering some of those rich elite families, all right? Psalms 83:2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head, all right? Now, they make a tumult, meaning a confederation. They're confederate. Now, even though today they're trying to establish this new digital system all over, countries all over the globe, they are having odds with one another and trying to establish who's going to run what and what portion of what are they going to run, But when it comes to the children of Israel on this sign, they're all confederate and making sure that we do not know who we are and that we are done away with, meaning killed. Verse 3, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people, that's us, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, let me start over. Psalms 83:3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. All right? For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. All right? So even though, you're having skirmishes and conflicts like with America and Iran, and, Trump just went over to China last week, to try to kiss ass, try to get some money or stuff. They're at odds on that sense of trying to run this world, but they're not at odds when it comes to doing away with us, the children of Israel. All right? Here are some of them. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes, Jebel and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Asher also was joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot, Salah. Now Edom, the first one said the tabernacles of Edom, that's the so-called white man, and the Ishmaelites, which are the so-called Arabs. Of Moab are the so-called Chinese. Now, Elon Musk and what they're trying to do and be confederate to do away with us is to establish this new world order with the micro C-hip in there. The RFID microchip is going to be implantable and become a mandatory thing in order to remain a civilian in the majority of these countries, like China, America, you know, peripheral nations of America, you know, Canada, China, Europe, and stuff like that, all right? Parts of Africa, which is prophecy spoken of here in Revelation chapter 13, verses 16, 17, and 18. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And that's how Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is able to cause all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark, because all the other heathen nations are in league with Esau Edom to establish this new world order where all the citizens of the world are underneath transition from contractual slavery to digital slavery via receiving an RFID chip somewhere on their body. And that verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. All right. Now over there in China, they have a system, digital credit system over there now, where if you are not compliant with following the rules and regulations of that place, you will call something Lao Lei, LAI, which means a debt dodger. So if you're not paying you're paying your tithes, if you're not paying your bills, if you're not staying on top of your game out there, you get called a Lao Lei. And then now you start losing access to things like your bank account. You start losing access to being able to fly, to catch trains. You won't be able to enroll your kids in school. You lose access to your apartment, to your bank accounts, because now they got apartments to where they have like a keypad on the door, or a thumbprint or a fingerprint identifier on people's doors now out there. All right. So you see, even though that's over there in China, where they have different customs and practice different forms of heritage, they have the digital system erected up over there. And Trump went over there trying to get money from him because he knows he's getting his ass handed to him via this conflict over there in Iran. All right. Because he thought it was going to be like Venezuela, just go over there and then like in a day or two, just take them out. No. All right. So that's how they're able to cause people, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. That same layout is done here. All right. Now the image and the way we live here is underneath the image, where we have to pay our bills, use credit, with some form of payment, cash, credit card, debit card, checks, what have you. And if you don't do that, what happens? You get ostracized. If you miss paying your homeowner's insurance, if you miss paying car insurance or renewing your tags and registration, you lose that. You start getting ostracized in increments from society, to the point, where if you remaining delinquent, you'll be homeless, then get sick and or die. You see there? So the platform and the structure is already there. They're just transitioning it over to digital. Verse 18, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. All right. Now, the elder brother, Elder Yashawamba from the Dallas GMS camp, whose YouTube page is Remnant Save 144. Today's the 22nd. He did a video back within the first week of May, where he was talking about the mark of the beast and what the 666 means. All right, Chi Psi Stigma. All right, and what each of those words mean. Now, I posed a question to ChatGPT. What's great mills? Because earlier this week, Elon Musk made a statement saying that these brain chips will give Jesus-like level powers. Notice here that he said Jesus because Esau Edom thinks he is God. He has a God complex. Remember, Job 9:24 said, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where then who is he? The judges begin with the Most High, Yahweh. Then his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. The Holy Spirit, which is of the band of angels. The house of David, which is the elect. And eventually the house of Saul too. All right? Because even though the 2/3 are going to have to die on this side because they ain't right and they're not going to repent, they still are the salt of the earth and set trends that the rest of the world follows. Okay? But now the Most High is getting ready to make the 2/3 take a back seat. And now he's putting the premier creme de la creme, if you will, of our nation of Israel, beginning with Elder Apostle Tahar on down to GMS, which began last century with Rabbi Abba Bivens, who was Elijah set forth to come. All right, the forerunner of the elect's salvation, man, paving the way for Yahweh Shai's return. All right, And then he passed the torch, or the Spirit passed the torch on to great men like Malak Mashah, our king, High Priest Yaiquab, and his son, High Priest Ariah. All right, and then in today's time, it got passed over to Elder Apostle Tahar on down. But I asked ChatGPT, what's Great Millstone's take on Elon Musk saying brain chips will give Jesus-like powers? Now, like I said, Yahushua, that's who the world calls Jesus, or JC. I'm sorry, that's who the world calls JC. Is underneath the Most High. So Elon Musk is saying these brain chips that they have control of, that they wish to make mandatory to everybody, is giving them godlike power. And then Jesus, you know, they're saying that, you know, that they're saying to themselves that they are God. All right, I think that's in. Let me grab that real quick. All right, now I can't find it, but let me go back to the question here. I asked ChatGPT, what's Great Millstone's take on Elon Musk saying brain chips will give God-level powers, or Jesus-like powers? The Great Millstone, while mainstream media focuses on the technological bravado of restoring sight and mobility, Great Millstone interprets this development as a literal, dangerous deception, which is true. Because these are the false prophets that will be done away with pursuant to Revelation chapter 19 and 20. Let me grab that one real quick, because they are the false prophet that will be burned in the flame, in the lake of fire that's sure to come. Yeah, Revelation 19 and verse 20. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that have received the mark of the beast, which is the microchip, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. And that's when Babylon the Great here, America, gets burned with thermonuclear destruction, thermonuclear fire from those missiles shot over here from all the other nations, including their former, well, in that time, there will be their former allied nations like NATO and the EU. All right. But Russia and China is going to shoot on this place and then shoot over there, you know, in that land where the 1948ers are. Back to ChatGPT. Great Millstone has taught for decades. See, there for decades. Not just, they got on YouTube in the summer of 2007, but they had Elder Apostle Tahar been talking about the microchips since the late 80s. Because the Spirit of the Lord gave him that information and was working on him with that, all right? And he's been right the whole time. Great Millstone has taught for decades that the mark of the beast outlined in Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 through 18 is a physical microchip or technological implant. All right. Now, in that, remember what I read earlier in Revelation 13, verse 18, where it says, you know, here 603 scoring 6, you know, chassis stigma. That word stigma means literally to stick. All right. Because how they're going to implant this chip, they already got people in Sweden that voluntarily take the microchip. And how they implant it in them is through a syringe. And that's, you're sticking someone, you know, you're sticking that through someone's flesh. The take, Elon Musk openly calling brain implants Jesus-level tech that can grant superhuman powers is seen as the ultimate deception to entice the masses. The warning from GMS is they argue that the elite will use the promise of miracles, you know, healing the paralyzed, curing blindness, to make the chip socially acceptable and highly desirable before making it mandatory, which is literally what it is. Because if you go and you Google the citizens of Sweden, they're voluntarily taking the microchips. All right, but at some point here in America, the infrastructure has already been developed and is still being developed via the data centers and stuff to house all the information on all of us citizens here digitally. All right, and then they have the power, when they start making the chips mandatory, to cut off people's chips for those of them who are deemed not compliant with with government rules. All right. Playing God and the spirit of Esau. In GMS doctrine, modern global elites are identified as the biblical Esau or Edom, which is true because I done told you in Psalms 49th chapter and 11th verse, The inward thought is that the houses shall continue forever. And it's roughly paraphrasing, and the lands to their generations, they call their lands after their own name. Here in America, you have places called Babylon, places called Edom, Texas. All right, you got places up in New York called Babylon, New York. Mount Seir was an ancient city of ancient Edom. You have places out here called Mount Seir in certain places. You can Google this. All right, another city of the Edomites was the land of Uz, U-Z. You have a Uz in Kentucky, okay? So they're arrogant and they don't believe that they're ever going down. So they got it right on GMS saying that. In GMS doctrine, the modern global elites are identified as the biblical Esau or Edom, characterized by pride, technological dominance, and a desire to usurp the Almighty, which is the Most High Yahweh, which is, boy, they're in trouble for that. You assholes, you're in big trouble, boy. I wouldn't want to be you for nothing. The take is, Musk comparing his technology to the miracles of Yahushua, or who the world calls JC, is viewed as peak blasphemy and arrogance. Yes, because they do know the Most High. If they know that the Most High exists. They know his name, his son's name. They know about the angels. They know who his people are, which are us. They know all these things, and they still move him out of the way in terms of information and putting this covering cast over all the nations. That's in you can Google that, covering cast over the nations, because Esau Edom has purposefully put everyone in mental arrested development on the nature of reality, so he can duck and dodge and hide himself as to who he is. Because it ain't hard to tell if the Spirit is working with us to read the scriptures and have them broken down to us from our teachers, beginning with Elder Apostle Tahar on down. It ain't hard to, a child can understand it. Reading on, it says, the counter argument, they emphasize that true healing and superpowers will only be given to the elect through divine spiritual power during the second coming, which is now, which started with Elder Rabbi Abba Bivens last century, and the spiritual power has already come in the form of being woken up to the true name of the Heavenly Father and His Son, who we are, the people that make up the northern and southern kingdom, who all these other people make up of the 17 heathen nations, because there's 18 in total. We're the children of God, the nation of the Most High. 16 nations are the son of men, and Esau Edom are the sons of the wicked. So that alone is spiritual power. The fact that we come out here week in and week out, Lord permitting, as well as make every weekend or whenever the Lord has people go out, as well as make videos and do posts, that's spiritual power, and that's a miracle. Because it just said in Psalms the 83rd chapter that they wish to do away that the heathen nations wish to do away with us. And if the Lord hadn't intervened and poured His Spirit upon flesh, then the heathens would succeed. But the Lord is coming back to gather His people, beginning with the elect. The counter argument, they emphasize that true healing and superpowers will only be given to the elect through divine spiritual power during the second coming, not through a synthetic silicon chip made by man, which is true. Now, their take on this also spans to total tech control and the New World Order. Boy, and this is Chat GPT. I can't make this up. I just typed in the question, and all this came out. GMS tracking of Neuralinks push toward automated high-volume production is framed as a trap. They argue that once a chip is in the human brain, it strips away bodily autonomy and links the mind directly to a controlled grid. And that's what those data centers are. And yeah, they will be able to, people who got those chips in their head, they will be able to try to manipulate and because I'm sure they have a speaker, or at least have a way for them to digitally input, thoughts and inputs into that chip, and then try to run that vibration through that person's mind, and try to control them or manipulate their behavior. They argue that once the chip is in the human brain, it strips away bodily autonomy and links the mind directly to a controlled grid. Musk's framing of it as a savior-like technology is, to them, the exact type of psychological conditioning the Bible warns about regarding end times. The GMS breakdown, this is their primary foundational text. They look directly at the original Greek word for mark, which is chiragma, which implies a scratching, etching, or stamping. All right, and its root word chirax is a sharp stake or needle used to inject something. Now, there was a law in the scriptures back in Exodus I believe, that says that thou shalt not cut any markings in thy flesh. And the way that they would cut markings in their flesh is through a sharp instrument that would pierce the skin over and over like a tattoo. And this is the same thing, but Esau Edom's trying to do it and have people submit in that sense via digitally, because right now we all kind of submit what we do contractually. Hello, how y'all doing?
Hi, guys.
Because right now everyone submits contractually if they don't want to be ostracized from society to the point where they're going to be homeless via having, having a job, paying bills, not breaking these laws out here, even though, Esau Edom's a criminal, but to remain a good citizen, they, we're already submitting in that sense. But once it gets to that point with that digital all, with that microchip, that's when you want to say no, and Lord willing, have put all your faith in the Most High Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shah. I hope that if I'm alive in that time, he'll have me put all my faith in him and just say, nah, this is where I get off. All right. Because Neuralink utilizes surgical robots with microscopic needles to stitch threads into the brain, GMS argues that this is the literal physical fulfillment of a mark inside the head or forehead. All right, warning against false miracles, because must directly compare the brain chip's ability to cure blindness and paralysis. GMS heavily emphasizes scriptures regarding technological deception via Revelation chapter 13 verses 14, which says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which had power to do in the sight of the beast. All right, now a good example of that is like all this AI stuff. I just saw a music video made of Shaquille O'Neal. It was supposed to be Charles Barkley. I thought it was real for a second until I read the title while I was watching the video, and it looked real. All right. Another one is 2 Thessalonians 2:9. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. Hey, how goes it, man?
Good, how are you?
All right. The GMS breakdown, they teach that curing the blind or giving movement to a paralyzed person via a computer chip is not truly healing. It is a lying wonder designed to trick people into accepting artificial control. Another good example of that was the COVID, the C19er that started back in 2020, which is also a pivotal landmark point that Yuval Noah Harari pointed out in a video interview he did last year in 2025, saying that mankind will look back 100 years from now and look at the C19er era as the beginning of underskin surveillance. All right, it was to that effect. I don't have it verbatim, but Yuval Noah Harari specifically pointed out how mankind will look back at the C19er era as when they started infusing man with technology, because there was graphene oxide in those shots. And now you got the Hannah Montana virus getting ready to come out now and sweep the nation again. And I strongly recommend, Lord willing, I don't do it. I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't take them jabs for that Hannah Montana crap that they talking about that they found on the ship somewhere. And mind you, that ship was owned by a company that specialized in carrying scientists all around. Scientists of all people, right? But anyway, reading back. Now, GMS's take on the arrogance and the spirit of Edom playing God. All right. The arrogance and spirit of Edom playing God. GMS associates global tech elites with the biblical character of Esau Edom, which is true. I just gave you examples of how they name places after Edom. All right. Who they believe is prophesied to try to scale the heavens and usurp God through pride and science. An example is Obadiah 1:4. Isaiah 14:14. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. You see there? That's literally who has that God complex, who goes around the world saying that what they feel and what they believe is good for all. Esau Edom. All right. But let's see. The GMS breakdown to them must directly stating that his technology operates at a Jesus level is a literal manifestation of these verses, which is true. This is Obadiah 1:4. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, which is the mascot bird for America, Babylon the Great, and though thy set thy nest among the stars, which is their Space Force program, because they wish to fight Yahushua when he returns back to gather his elect via the so-called UFOs. He's going to come with a band of angels, and they got their telescopes pointed towards the heavens and their little weapons pointed towards the heavens, so when they see Yahushua coming, they wish to fight him. That's the fighting up in the heaven, all right, between Yahushua and his angels and Satan and his angels, all right? Remember, Esau Edom is Satan, the spiritual, the physical counterpart to the spiritual demon Satan. Revelation 2 and 9. I know thy works, and let me grab it. Revelation 2 and 9. I know thy works in tribulation and poverty. That's talking to the elect of Israel. But thou art rich in spirit, okay? And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. So that was the fight up in heaven. That's why they got their Space Force. Because when they see Yahushua return the angels, they're going to be fighting. They're going to try to fight him. And they're going to lose bad, all right? And then the elect are going to get beamed up into those chariots. And then they're going to get their new bodies. And then after that, they're going to descend down from heaven. And then that's when the kingdom of heaven will be here on earth. Remember the Lord's Prayer says, thy kingdom come, that will be done in earth as be in heaven. So the kingdom of heaven will be lived here on earth. All right? Heaven and hell are conditions lived here on earth. All the people here on this sun are in hell. And then Esau Edom, they're all living in their heaven here. You know, we get redlined here. They get the green light where they get free access to stuff. You know, on the sneak tip, they get discounts for gas, for food. They get higher pay on jobs compared to Jake. All right? They get loans and everything. You remember the Homestead Act? They get free land that they stole from Gad and Reuben, the so-called Native Americans and Seminole Indians. This is their heaven. We're in hell. We're in the barrios, the hoods, the projects, you know? They are, back to the chat GPT, they use these lines to argue that the elites foolishly believe that their technology can rival spiritual power and create a transhumanist new world order, which is their desire, and it's true. What's shown that they think that they have a God, that they see themselves as God, is like a food pyramid. You know, where they say, no, this is the way you need to eat, as opposed to what you have been taught by someone else. Or they say this is how you medicate yourself, by going to a doctor's office as opposed to looking into herbs. All right, and foods that can heal us. Now, their view on true spiritual power versus synthetic powers. To counter the idea that humanity needs microchips to achieve superhuman potential, GMS contrasts Neuralink with the promise of divine transformation. Philippians 3 and 21. Who shall change our vile body, that it may be fashioned like unto his glorious body, according to the working whereby he is able even to subdue all things unto himself. So that's what I just said about the elect being beamed up, all right? Now, in the meantime, in between time, the elect need to just be cool, and that's what they're going to do, because they're going to get the heavenly compass from the Most High Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. This is Revelation chapter 13, verse 9 and 10. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. That's the commandment from the Most High, to have patience and the faith of the saints. So now it's, you know, until the Lord takes this man down, you need to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. This is Romans chapter 12. So we just need to be good, upstanding citizens, and just, you know, continue to live out the remnants of our punishment until the Lord comes and resurrects the elect. You know, this is Romans 12 and 18. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. All right. So only in self-defense do you need to defend yourself and do what you got to do, you know, intellectually or physically. Okay. As well as Yahushua told us in the book of Matthew, chapter 22, verses 20 to 22, you know, render unto Caesar's what is Caesar's. All right. Matthew chapter 22, verses 20. So that means, you know, that's a commandment. You go out here, pay your bills, go to work, be an upstanding citizen, don't do nothing crazy. If you drink at home. Matthew 22 and 20. And he said unto them, who is this image and subscription? They say unto him, Caesar's. Then he saith unto them, Render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. So we have to sit here and physically go to work and pay our bills, but we, Lord willing, will devote our minds to the Heavenly Father via building, getting our faith built up, praying and repenting, you know, before the Most High really gets to swinging out here with his judgments upon the people here on this planet. This is the book of Obadiah. There's only one book, verses 2 through 4. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. That's talking about Esau being despised amongst the other 16 heathen nations. Okay? The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock. That's Esau Edom's homeland, which is Mount Seir. And then you notice they're the only ones that had that caveman history. All right? That was only like 1,000 years ago. That wasn't a millions of years ago. It was like relatively, you know, not that long ago. Whose habitation is high, because they used to dwell and dig holes and caves in those cliffs. You can read or listen to the audio book, Offler Coasters, the 13th Tribe, where it describes how they used to eat out of their dead grandmama's skull up there in them goddamn caves. All right? That saith, Obadiah 1 and 3. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakodash. So with that, I hope that this was edifying, inspiring, and enlightening to you as it was to me. I'm gonna give the YouTube channel of the 4 elder apostles of GMS. Beginning with Elder Apostle Tahar, his page is what is the 666 Mark II GMS Truth. Elder Apostle Gabar is Daily Edification 4. Elder Apostle Ramlab is GMS Info Doc Channel 12. You want to go to the live section of his page to get the new videos, because that's how the Lord has them firing off. And that same concept applies to GMS Keep Pushing On, Elder Apostle Ricard, okay? His channel is GMS Keep Pushing On. You want to go to the live section of his page to find new videos, because that's how the Lord has them firing off. And any and all questions that you have in relevance to the past, the present, and the future, our 4 elder apostles got tons of videos on each of those channels that break down the past, present, and the future events. Everything that's happened from the beginning of Adam, even before the foundation of the earth, all the way to the kingdom of heaven, and everything in between, okay? So with that, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to my power, Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rakakodash. Double honors to the elders, apostles, and bishops, great millstone, and still teach and rule well. Peace and salutations to both the elect and the hopeful elect. Lord willing, this was edifying, inspiring, and enlightening. And Lord willing, I'll be able to do this again. But for now, I'm going to say, Shalawam.